another kind of tip for using a manual camera and how a manual camera can help your photography skills is by using an external light meter like we have here. This is the TTArtisan. It basically fit my budget, and that was the reason why I purchased it. So far, I haven't had any issues with it. It's a little difficult at times to use because of some design flaws. They're only enough to kind of annoy you. They're not enough to make it impossible to use. The simple annoyance is this: the fact that the ISO selection is right here on top of your aperture selection dial. And there's no like lock for this. So it wants to just constantly rotate anytime you're rotating your aperture dial. The other issue, and you saw it happen right there, is the screws that hold this little guy in place don't ever like to stay in. It's just designed wrong, that aspect of it. But everything else about it, it seems to be functioning the way it should. Haven't had any issues with exposures being over or under. I guess it's fine. Would I recommend buying it? Only if you're on a budget would I recommend it. There are much better light meters out there. What I use this for is kind of as a, well, I'm not quite sure, but I want to be 100% sure. So I'll select my exposure levels on the camera and then verify with the light meter. Instead of using the light meter to get my numbers and then transposing those to the camera, I'll start with the camera first and use this as kind of like the, oh shit, let's check to see if I'm doing it right. And using that method has helped tremendously. I can more accurately guess the exposure setting. Using Vigetlander Vito B and the TTArtisan. Finish off a roll which I started maybe 2 weeks ago. But I don't know. Scouting the area and just not really seeing much of anything interesting to photograph. I am a 40-year-old male who drove to the local mall, right, still exists, to eat lunch and practice street photography. Which actually led to being able to photograph and talk to this gentleman here, Jerry, for about a half an hour. Good guy. Real good guy. There we go. Now we're talking. There's something. How do I get there? Well, that's convenient. Woo. Lots of interesting stuff to photograph out here. Not exactly the best place for a manual camera. The ability to focus on details is very difficult with a manual camera, and zone focusing. Still doable, but it requires a very high level of precision when calculating your distance. And I don't think I'm quite there yet. Found this scene. I don't know, something about the way the nature mixes with the architecture and the boarded up windows. Something about it just looks cool to me. So I'm gonna guess the exposure values, and then I'm gonna double check them on the TTArtisan and see what I can get. So looking at this scene, I would start at sunny 16, and then I would come down to 8. So f8 at 100. So in the Artisan, we'll select 100 as our ISO. 125 is as close as we can get to 100 on this, and I'm going to select 8. And all you do is push the little button on the back. Well, aim it where you want and push the little button on the back. The little thing here tells you that 8 is underexposed. All right, so then you can do this trick where you just dial the aperture settings until, okay, so 5, 6 is one stop under, and 4 is correctly 4 is over under. But again, 1/25, I would shoot this at 5, 6. So I was off by a stop. We're going to shoot 2. We're going to shoot 1 at my guesstimated setting, and we're going to shoot 1 at this exact setting. And here we have both exposures. The one on the left is the f8, and the one on the right is the 5.6. And to be perfectly honest with you, I prefer the f8. It's just a better photograph as far as detail goes. So you'll notice there's more detail in the door and in the brick, and less detail in the shadow on the left hand side there. So all in all, it's just a more pleasing to me photograph. Sure, the composition is probably better on the f6 photo on the right. However, those compositional differences can probably be corrected by aligning the brick pillar to the vertical axis, just like this. There, and fixed. Yeah, you know, as much as I want to sneak through here, which is totally doable, right? Because the turnstile goes this way, and then it goes this way, and you exit there. I don't know. It feels like trespassing. So I'm gonna let it go for now. I always feel that if you have to go through an entry like that where, you know, clearly they don't want you inside of the space, then you should really ask first. And I know I was just in the space down the way without asking, but that was all through open doors. So they've kind of, you know, accepted the fact that you can get through down there. But up here, it's a little different, you know. Maybe another time with a different camera and a different film. But I would love to be able to get inside that building, because you know there's going to be some good stuff in there. And we just finished the roll with you know, just a couple photos here of the surrounding area, and all in all, it's a, you know, decent run, I think. Learned a lot, and still have a lot more to go. So, I guess thanks, and see you.